Okay, wait a minute. Hi, everyone. Okay, thank you.
We'd love to welcome you to this exciting evening of Contact with Bashar. And we hope that you have an exciting journey of consciousness and that you find it both illuminating and inspiring. So, I guess we're ready to turn this over to Darryl and Bashar. And I just want to thank both of them for opening this doorway for us to other dimensions as well as to other levels of our own consciousness. So, thank you, Darryl and Bashar.
You're welcome. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming tonight. Always like to check and just take a little poll. How many people are here for the very first time? Quite a few. Thank you very much for coming. What you will experience here tonight, I don't know how many of you are familiar with channeling in general, but it's just really getting into an altered state to allow another level of information to come through, whether that actually is coming from another entity outside the channel or whether it's another part of the channel's consciousness is really not the point. We're not here to prove that Bashar is who he says he is. We're here really to give information that seems to be able to help people make the kind of changes they want to in their lives. That's really what this is all about. But Bashar does present himself as an extraterrestrial consciousness, so if you want to take him at his word, certainly this is an opportunity to communicate with that kind of a being. The format generally is that when I go into the altered state, Bashar will come through. He will talk about what he feels is important to talk about for a few minutes tonight, but he's going to turn the majority of this session over to you for questions and answers so that you really can bring up the subjects and discussions that you feel are important to you right now. So by all means, take advantage of that and make sure that in the one chance that you have to ask him a question, it's what you really feel is the most important thing you want to talk to him about right now. Have a good time. The more fun you have with him, the more fun he will have with you. And I'll see you later. I'll say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right, thank you. We will proceed this day of your time by first of all thanking each and every one of you for the co-creation of this transmission. Each and every time we are allowed to experience your civilization, it affords us an opportunity to understand that many more ways that the infinite has of expressing itself within creation, and this to us is a gift. So we thank you for the sharing and this opportunity to see more facets of the multidimensional crystal of all that is. We would like to begin this day of your time with a little bit of an idea that we will call the state of the future union. The idea being that we have already discussed with you a little bit about what we perceive coming up in what you call your future with respect to the unification of your world and eventually, in time, the joining of your world with our alliance, our association of many different civilizations. Now, again, remember, there is no such thing as a prediction of the future. There is only a sensing of the energy that exists at the time the prediction is made. It's a sensing of the present energy. And if that energy does not change, then the events that are discussed will come to pass. But energy always changes. Sometimes, though, there is a great deal of momentum behind a particular course, a particular path, and thus it is unlikely that that energy will change, and therefore more probable that the event discussed will come into manifestation. We have talked about the fact that it seems probable, likely, that somewhere after your year, as you count time, of 2015 to 2025, it will be a certain fact known by the majority of people on your planet that extraterrestrial civilizations exist. I am not saying there will be mass landings of craft in that time, but you will know we exist. Then, between your year of 2025 and 2033, it is highly likely that you will have some open contacts that are going to be, in that sense, publicized. And thus, then it will lead to further interaction that will ultimately result sometime, most probably, as we read your energy now, before your year of 2040, in Earth becoming a member of our alliance. Now, during that time of acceleration, during that time when you become aware of the existence of other civilizations and the time you take your place in our alliance by your own choice, several different things obviously will have to happen on your planet. And what we would like to give you right now is a reading of the energy that exists as we read it now, of the most likely probable scenarios of exactly in what manner the unification of your planet may take place over time, in stages, as it were. This is not necessarily in any particular order. It is somewhat difficult to read the timeline in the way that would give us an exact order of these things, but there are likelihoods. One of the things that will begin to happen is the creation of what we perceive to be called the North American Alliance. And that will be between what you call your United States of America and your Canada. It will join together in what you would call fundamentally, politically, one nation. This will then be followed eventually by the idea of what you call your Central American region. But that will take a little bit longer, as certain other kinds of conditions will need to be worked out first. You have already begun to see a little bit of this in what you call, of course, the origination of your United States, and of course now, more recently in your history, the creation of what you call your European Union. This will continue, this trend will continue beyond the North American Alliance, into a confederation of South American states, into at least 70, perhaps 80% of what you would call the African nations. There will be some Asiatic bonding, although this may take a little bit longer due to a variety of reasons. But eventually, the South Asian regions will also find a path, and then the Middle Eastern regions will also finally come together, although in your language that may be a little bit of a bumpy ride. However, somewhere around your year of 2035 to 2037 or 39 at the latest, all those unions, at least in some sense politically, will begin to function, will find their footing, and by those later years will be cohesive enough for our alliance to consider them as qualified to join the membership on the entry level of what you would refer to as an interstellar alliance. And from that point forward, of course, you will have open assistance in furthering the unification of your planet. As you say, cleaning up the loose edges from that point forward. Somewhere by your year of 2050, you will find that you are well on your way to going into the next level of your membership in the Interstellar Alliance, the Association of Worlds, the Federation, the Star Nation tribes, whatever you wish to call us, we don't care. We don't really have a name for it. These are names that just translate into your language on Earth. But we understand ourselves in that sense to be a family. And so, you are heading towards joining our family, and this is why we already consider you to be members of our family and are having these interactions with you in this way at this time to lay the foundations and lay the groundwork for the state of the future union of your planet that you call Earth in your language. One of them anyway. As such, all of these interactions, whether they be with an individual or whether they be with groups, all serve the purpose of changing your reality toward that day, toward those times. For remember, it is one of the principles that we have talked about many times, is that if you change anything, any part of the whole, even a little bit, you change all of the whole. Any change is a total change. And if you wish to begin to look at it that way, you will see the profound effect that looking at it that way will have on your individual lives as well as your collective experience on Earth. Any change is a total change. Not just a little change, a total change. Even if it is only different by one atom, a different universe is a different universe in totality. Learn that every change means you are, in the next moment, a different universe entirely. And can create from that point forward anything you wish. We will be discussing more of these principles of deep core changes tomorrow of your time. And we will be asking the question, why are you here? Now, at this timing, we will extend to you our invitation for interaction. You may proceed however you wish with questions and answers. And remember to speak up and be bold so that all may hear what you have to share, for there are no accidents. And even though whatever it is you are experiencing in your individual life may seem to be mostly germane only to you, everyone who is present can get something out of it to apply to their own lives in varying degrees. There are no accidents. So, with that in mind, by all means, please proceed.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I have a question about...
Speak up, speak up.
Okay. I have a question about the meditation.
You have a question about meditation.
Which was in October last year on a
Yes.
spaceship.
Yes.
The entity I've met in the meditation
Yes.
was completely unknown to me, but at the same time, we had such a bond between us. And first I thought it was no shape or no color or nothing very specific. But when first I thought I got that thought it's my mother, but then I put my hand inside and it was like I suddenly understood it was me.
Yes. Most individuals in those meditations, as we guide them, are creating a space in which it is designed for you to meet an aspect of your own higher self. It may present itself to you in any number of ways, but almost all of the meditations that we conduct are designed to put you in touch with different aspects of yourself. This is not to say that you cannot encounter other beings along the way, guides, loved ones, friends, family, and so forth, but the primary contact in most of those meditations will be with aspects of yourself that we would like you to get used to so that you can, in that sense, allow them to, shall we say, rub off on you and become more of your version of them in physical reality. Does that make sense to you?
Yes. So
and?
Basically I've met my higher self.
Yes.
Okay.
How did that feel?
I started to cry and I couldn't stop for, I don't know, at least a half an hour.
Perfect. Because then you were willing to release the old ideas of yourself, let them melt away in your tears, and begin to take on a new understanding, a new persona, and be a new you. That is a beautiful response.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
May I ask a question about the other person?
I don't know. Can you?
Okay, I'll try.
Oh, all right, if you insist on trying.
My sister...
Or you could just ask.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
My sister is here, and she's been told that she has one of her guides is extraterrestrial.
All right. And so?
Could you identify this extraterrestrial?
Nope.
No? Okay, thank you
so much. Not at this time. Thank you. This is similar. Although it is not an impossible thing to do, we will always rely on the timing of these things to decide whether or not we are allowed to bring through that kind of information. But questions like that, especially if we are not actually interacting with the person directly, are very similar to the kind of question that sometimes we get asked, that we have talked about before, when people come up and say, Bashar, I saw a UFO the other day. Can you tell me who was on that UFO? And we say, well, it is very similar to saying, well, I was walking down the street the other day and I saw one of your airplanes flying somewhere. Can you tell me who was on it and where it was going? We may know, but we don't know the comings and goings of all extraterrestrials. They have their agendas. We have our agendas. They work in concert, to be sure, but that's mostly through synchronicity. We don't necessarily know everyone out here firsthand on a first name basis, at least those that have names. So, it is possible sometimes to answer a question like that, but not as often as you may think, unless we are dealing directly with the person and find that that person opens a doorway through which we are then shown that we have permission to reveal who is working with whom, which we don't always have, because we might, as you say, spill the beans about something that we ought not to in their process. Next question.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
My name is Hassan.
Oh, all right, if you insist.
All right, my question is personal.
Oh, well, yes, I would think so, since you are a person.
Thank you. It has to do with my father, basically.
Yes?
And
how so?
When I was younger, during my childhood and everything, I was raised in a way which was very controlling
Yes.
by him. He was strict.
Yes.
He was non-affectionate,
All right.
non-emotional,
All
never
right.
told me he loved me, everything.
Right. And?
And so I thought I dealt with it later on, and I thought everything was solved. And in the past year, it has been resurfacing again, and
yes.
I've been having dreams about him, and
Very good. Yes.
few times I've been waking up crying, and
Yes, very good.
and the last time I had some kind of anxiety attack, even
Yes.
shortness of breath and everything.
Yes, this is going around.
Yeah, so my question is, I've been trying to heal everything I had.
Yes.
So what would be the best way to deal with this?
Well, there are
problem?
many different ideas, many different approaches, many different techniques, and we can talk about a few ideas.
Please go ahead.
Thank you. First of all, please understand this is normal for you humans. All right? Normal. When you are born on your world, there is a great degree of limitation in terms of your ability to understand what you are doing on earth. You forget. You are born into families, and you take upon yourself the patterns of those families unconsciously. At a certain time in your life, or times, there will be an upwelling, an upsurge of certain of those patterns. Most likely at exactly the same age or around the same age that your own parents experienced the same issues. You will replay them in your own way, revisit them in your own way, from your own perspective. It is part of a family agreement to look at certain issues over and over again, generation to generation, but from different perspectives, so that you add to the overall spiritual family's knowledge of all the different ways to deal in physical reality with those issues. But primarily, it is an opportunity for you to discover more and more of who you uniquely are as a person, as an individual, in how you deal with this issue. It does not mean that just because you may be dealing with these issues, that a particular result must occur. You may find yourself having to deal with the issue, but it doesn't mean that the result that happened for your parents has to happen for you. Do you follow me so far?
I do, yeah, thanks.
Because you know you are different. You know you are coming from a different perspective. And the very fact that you can stand apart from your father and recognize what he could not give you gives you an advantage, gives you a leg up, as you say. Gives you a new perspective from which to approach these ideas you are now feeling. First and foremost, do your best to remember that when you feel those panic attacks, those anxiety moments, that all it is about belief. Nothing physically is really generally going to happen to you in the negative. You understand?
I do, yeah.
I know it may feel to you like you may be dying, but you will not die. Some of you say, unfortunately. Nevertheless, the point is, you are being given an opportunity to experience an idea, a perspective, to handle it in your own unique way, and for the most part, to simplify this before we go on, for the most part, the purpose here is to really decide very clearly for yourself who you are as compared to who you are not. The experience gives you a better understanding of who you are not. Because the reason you're having the experience is because you are unconsciously comparing yourself to who you have been taught to believe you should be, and comparing that with who you know in your soul, in your spirit, in your heart, you really are. So this is a good thing. It means you have arrived at a place in your life where you are ready to make that comparison, ready to understand who you really are as opposed to who you are really not, which is the legacy your father gave you, a good measure of all the things you know are not who you prefer to be, so that it'll be much easier for you to define who it is you do prefer to be. In short, easier to be the light when you are comparing it to the dark. You follow me?
I do, yeah.
So, if you will use it that way, allow yourself in those panic attacks not to hyperventilate, stay calm, use a paper bag if you need to breathe into, keep yourself calm, and just remember, this is an opportunity to reveal another nugget of information about yourself and approach it with positive meaning to get a positive effect from the experience. Don't deny the feeling, by all means, but recognize it is there for your purposes, for your service, for your reason. As uncomfortable as it may be for a while, you'll get past it, you'll process it, you'll get through it, if you just remember that it is always for the purpose of giving yourself an opportunity to discover more of who you really are, so that you can add that to your knowledge of yourself and rise above and go beyond and expand beyond the idea that your father was limited to about what a person could be. Does this help you?
A lot. Thanks so much, Bashar.
And pleasant dreams to you.
Thank you so much.
You are welcome.
I do have a second short question, actually, which has to do...
what, about 2 feet tall?
Maybe a bit less, I don't know.
All right, 1'6". A short little question.
Yeah, more like it, yeah.
Yes?
It has to do with ego, which I guess everybody has.
Oh yes, you have to have that to actually exist or function in physical reality. Now, balancing it is the key.
Exactly, this is my question, basically.
Yes.
I've been trying, like, every moment, sometimes something appears to happen, and it starts to bother me, and I have emotions about it, and then I say let it be to myself, and it all clears out, basically, because I'm aware of it, that it's happening. And it has to do with the ego trying to, control my emotions.
Yes.
Enough of that. So.
Oh, all right. All right, again, the steps are generally as follows. Acknowledge the feeling you are having. Never deny it. Never gloss it over. Never push it down. Own it. You cannot change what you do not own. Step 1. Once you have owned it and say, all right, this is what I'm feeling. This is how I'm reacting to this situation. I know I'm reacting in a negative way, but that's what I'm doing. I own it. I acknowledge it. I accept that's the choice I'm making. That's step 2, recognizing it's a choice to react the way you're reacting. Now, what is that choice based on? I'll tell you. Thank you. It's based on your beliefs, your definitions, what in a sense has been fed into you, most likely in childhood, about what you believe is most likely true about yourself in comparison to the situation that's happening around you. So any reaction you have to a situation emotionally is going to be based on what you believe is true about yourself relative to that situation. You follow me?
I do, yeah.
You have to have, here's the important part. You have to have a definition in order to have an emotional response. If you don't have a definition, you will not have an emotional response. If you have a negative definition, which means a definition that's out of alignment with your true self, you will have a negative emotional experience. If you have a positive definition, which means a definition in alignment with your true self, you will have a positive emotional experience. It really is fundamentally as simple as that. So, if you are having an emotional experience you don't prefer to, acknowledge it, own it, accept it, and then ask yourself the all-important question, what kind of belief would I have to have about myself in this situation in order to have this kind of an emotional reaction? Start exploring what those definitions are, what you've been taught to believe that is true about yourself. It doesn't mean it is true, but you've been taught to believe it's true.
Yeah.
You see? And that's what helps you get in touch with what those definitions are. And once you get in touch with them, and again, we will be going into this more deeply tomorrow with regard to core beliefs, core issues. Once you get in touch with them and define them, once you have identified what the belief is, it is automatically turned off. Identification of the belief diffuses the belief. Then you can replace it with a belief you prefer and have the emotional response from that point forward you prefer to have. But only if you truly get in touch with all the fundamental, foundational core beliefs that support all the other ones. And that's why it's so important to have that discussion, because we understand that beliefs can come in many layers, many colors. And they can, in a sense, seem as if they have been diffused, but there might be underlying fundamental foundational beliefs that still may bring them back. But understand, it's always a choice, always a choice. And I will guarantee you all this. Whatever it is you discover about yourself when you explore the depths of your core beliefs, I guarantee you, absolutely, 100%, without any hesitation whatsoever, I guarantee you that the most core belief you will always wind up with at the end will be that you are unconditionally loved and beautiful. Guaranteed. That will always be the one underlying every other belief. And we will go into more of that tomorrow of your time. All right?
All right. Thanks so much, Bashar.
Thank you.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I'm Willa.
Oh, all right.
And on our planet now, there's quite a lot of discussion about global warming.
Yes.
And I wondered...
Is it me or is it global warming?
Well, we have some fears of where that would end. And I wanted, first of all, to find out if this is actually created by humans on the planet, or is it an earth change?
Well, actually, there are both. There are natural cycles of things on your planet, but what humans have done with their technology has accelerated some of those cycles beyond the timing they would have occurred in naturally. You follow me?
Yeah, and that's the other part of my question. When would be we need to turn this around?
Go right ahead. It's your planet.
Right. And I think we need to turn this around because it could be destroying our planet.
Go right ahead. And what can you do about that?
At what point is it too late to turn it around? Is there
when you stop doing something about it? That's when it's too late.
Okay. So as long as we're doing something about it.
As long as you're doing something about it, it's not too late.
Okay.
Because remember, every moment is a new reality, a new universe. And when you create the vibration, as fully as you can, of the universe you prefer to live in, and more people on your planet do the same and harmonize with the same vibration of the kind of reality, the kind of planet they wish to live on, you will solidify and crystallize that reality. As long as you are still capable of doing, as long as you are still capable of acting, as long as you are still capable of giving off the vibration on your planet you prefer to give off, it's never too late. Unless you give up.
Well, there might be some, because of greed, who are not.
They will ultimately wind up on a different earth. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh, I like that.
Understand, you will not all wind up on the same earth. When I say you're creating a new reality in total, take me literally.
Okay, I got it.
Even though you may not perceive it that way from your time-space continuum, you are actually on a different Earth today with those around you than existed in your reality 10 years ago and 10 seconds ago. You understand?
I do.
So, give off the vibration, do the things that are the actions that represent that vibration, and by your actions, you will create the reality.
Thank you.
Thank you. Again, please remember, look at the signs also that you are creating for yourself, the markers along the path. I am not saying that we are the end-all, be-all in that sense, but I can guarantee you that if you were going to destroy yourselves, it is highly likely we would not be spending time talking with you. We know where you're going in our reality. No, thank you. It's your planet. Does that help you? Yes. Thank you.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
It is such a pleasure to be here. It's such a pleasure to be interacting with you. And I realize that there's a gathering going on in your world or dimension, you may call it. And I realize also that there's a gathering going on in my world or dimension, and there's a lot more than just me that's here right now interacting.
Absolutely.
Isn't that awesome?
It is full of awe.
Yes, it is. It is so great. I've got so many questions, but I couldn't bring a filing cabinet in here. I thought that'd look kind of goofy, so.
Goofy. Oh, all right, we understand.
My question that I will ask right now.
Yes.
Is I in one of your tapes you were talking about like the triangles. You used a measurement of 33.3,
yes.
A vortex, so to speak, and you also use a lot of different shapes and different shapes is what I would say.
Well, yes, they are used in a variety of ways for a variety of different reasons. Yes.
Yep. Okay. I want you to kind of talk about that a little bit because it just seems so simple. I mean, I actually could like just build something 33.33 triangle in any measurement. We're talking, feet, inches, and use it for a vortex to draw on more energy because like there's the movie that's out called What the Bleep. The little kid says, how far down the rabbit hole do you want to go in?
Yes.
I want to get real deep in it, and I would love to draw on energy.
Believe me, you're deep in it. All of you are deeper than you think.
Yeah.
But yes, to answer your question, the idea is that, again, the vibration that you create in your reality will also determine how advantageous some of these tools will be for you. If you are driven with your imagination to work with those kinds of tools, that's a sign right there that those are the kinds of tools that will probably work best in the vibration you're giving off. So by all means, give over to it. That's what play and imagination are for, to align you with the tools and allow you to create the tools in your imagination that will work best for you in the vibration reality you give off.
Great. So that could be just a big thing behind it is your intention. Your intent
Absolutely.
behind it. So
without expectation. Because many times the expectation is will actually put limitations on the tool when in fact it could deliver more to you than you might have originally envisioned if you will simply be more open-ended about how you explore and experiment with it and let it lead you into a more precise understanding of how to use it specifically in your vibrational reality. That's what learning is all about.
Great. So are you saying, let's say I build a vortex field or something, and I have really good intent, and I have a lot of imagination.
What does good intent mean? Define good intent.
What the purposes of it that I want to use it for, meaning that I don't want to like all of a sudden build a house through it, but I
why not?
My expectation.
Why not?
Because it's an expectation then.
To build a house?
No, to have a house go through a vortex, so to speak, or have something magically appear or something like that.
It doesn't mean it cannot happen, doesn't mean it cannot be real, doesn't have to be an expectation, depends on how you frame it.
Okay.
Nevertheless, the point is the more you are willing to understand why you are attracted to that particular tool, representation or manifestation, the more you will understand what your vibration is all about, and the more you will understand what's actually possible in your reality.
I believe anything's possible, so I could even let's make up my own tool.
All right. Well, I'll put it then more precisely in your language. You'll understand what's more probable in your reality. Yes, anything is possible, but one thing or another may be more probable in your particular frequency because it might be more probably a particular expression of your vibration, where for another it might be less probable.
Okay. I think I understand that.
Oh, all right.
One other quick question that you're saying on your tapes about someone asked a question about feelings in their mouth, mercury and stuff like that. My whole and it kind of really pissed me off.
What?
Because my whole upper mouth is full of old feelings.
Yes.
And it takes a lot of energy away. And you said some things like from 20 to 50%. No, that's a lot.
All right.
Is there a way that you could actually tell how much energy is being drawn away or taken away because of what's in my mouth right now?
Again, it will depend upon the individual. It will depend upon their vibration. It's what you call a case-by-case basis. Although, of course, you know you can have them replaced. Yes?
Yeah. I don't know, they pull them out and I guess put new ones in, yeah.
Well, something that is non-metallic.
Okay.
Now, again, remember, you can all transmute your physical reality in a variety of ways. And many people do. However, most of you have made an agreement to abide by certain physiological rules as you play your collective reality game. And so sometimes the easiest thing to do to transmute something is just take what you might recognize to be the simplest and most pragmatic course, as opposed to attempting to do it spiritually. Do you understand?
Yes.
Sometimes it can actually be the most spiritual thing to do to recognize that you can simply go to a dentist and replace the mercury filling instead of attempting to meditate the vibration of the mercury away.
Or grow new teeth.
Or grow new teeth. Because it's available to you as a course of action. And if it's actually the path of least resistance, then simply taking advantage of people that are there to help you do things simply might actually be the spiritual lesson.
But it'd be so much funner to grow new teeth.
Maybe. It depends on who you are. And it depends on what kind of belief systems you have about the process of growing new teeth.
Okay, would you be able to give me a number of, I've heard you say that in 15, 20, 30% that is drawing my energy from all the feelings that are in my mouth?
One moment. Are you sure you want that number?
Yeah.
Because then you have to work with it in your belief system.
Yep.
I have your permission to give you that.
Yes, you do.
Are you sure?
Yes, because it's challenging and fun.
Oh, all right. One moment. Now, it is not the idea so much of what you would call a drain, but it is the idea of what you might call a redirection.
Okay.
First of all, our reading of you is somewhere between 35 and 37%.
That's a lot.
If you say so.
Very good.
Does that help you?
Yes, it does. Thank you very
Now remember,
much.
That's our perspective at this time. All right?
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Bashar.
Good day, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Thank you. 2 years ago, I was always following my highest excitement.
Yes.
Every day.
You are talking in the past tense then?
Yes.
All right.
And then
what happened?
One day I started to take it further, my excitement.
All right. And?
So I felt extremely excited.
Yes.
But
extremely excited, but?
One of my coworkers, my energy was so high that he felt extremely uncomfortable.
Yes.
So he had to leave the room.
All right. To each his own?
Yeah. And then...
did that take any of your excitement away?
No, well, then he came back again in the room.
Yes.
And then he left. He couldn't stand to be in the room again.
Came back, left.
So
all
then
right.
He came back a third time and he started feeling really irritated.
Oh, all right.
And then I decided that, okay, I guess I should calm myself, a little.
All right. Do you feel that you were expressing your excitement inappropriately?
No, not exactly. No, not at all.
All right. Did your coworker feel that way?
No.
Was he able to vocalize or verbalize why he felt irritated about it to you?
No, not at all. I felt the discomfort from him too. It was like I also felt how he really became uncomfortable.
All right. Many times when people are exposed to high levels of joy, they will feel very threatened because they are nowhere near that level. And in some ways, in their unconscious, what it does is simply shine a light on what they believe to be their flaws. Do you understand?
Yes.
They interpret it, they project upon the other the idea that you are pointing out to them how far they have to go. And that irritates them. You understand?
Yes.
So, that's why we are not saying you should ever curtail your joy, but at the same time it can come with a degree of awareness and compassion for what others around you might be experiencing in that vibration so that you can understand how they may choose to react in it and give them their due. Not that it should curtail you, but that you can understand and allow yourself to be compassionate enough to, shall we say, smooth the vibration out in such a way that you invite the person to learn to participate at that level rather than, in a sense, chasing them away. Now, if they still choose to run away, that's their choice. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Does this help?
Yes.
Is there something else you wish to discuss?
Just another question.
Yes?
On 2012, a certain number of people vibrating at a certain level
Yes.
will shift dimensionally.
You're shifting all the time. December 21st, 2012 is a particular demarcation that represents a collective shift of sorts, yes. It also represents the end of the quarantine on your planet with regard to extraterrestrial civilizations. Doesn't mean we'll land the next day, but it means we could if your planet was really ready for it. And it's the end of a cycle of old patterns and the beginning of a new cycle. It's many different convergences of your collective consciousness. It's like the leading edge or shock wave, so to speak, of your collective consciousness crossing a threshold at that moment, even though you are crossing thresholds all the time. In a sense, that is a configuration that represents the synchronous coming together of many different wavelengths, so that many of you are crossing together. Does that help?
Yes. So every time you follow your highest excitement,
Yes.
like say 10 minutes ago, you were in a different reality.
Yes.
So are you crossing parallel realities every
Yes.
time?
All the time, every second, every instant. Right now. 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 All of those are different parallel realities in total.
And say you're suffering, you're having a hard time, then you'd also, it goes the same way, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You draw yourself into whatever parallel reality is representative of the vibration you most strongly give off. What you put out is what you get back. It's the third law of creation. There are only 4 laws in creation. That's the third one. Number 1 is that you exist. Can't do anything about that. Can't change that. You exist. And in some form you always will. Law number 2. The one is the all are the one. Can't change that. Number 3, what you put out is what you get back. Can't change that. Law number 4, change is the only constant. Except for the first 3 laws. That's it. Every reality, every experience, in every dimension, everywhere, every when, is some configuration of those 4 laws. Does that help?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bashar.
Hi, Bashar. It's Annie.
Oh, all right. And to you, good day, Annie.
Thank you. The first thing I wanted to say was thank you, because it was over 20 years ago that I heard you say the magic words, "You are the creator of your own reality."
Yes.
And it changed my life.
Thank you for changing your life.
Absolutely. Thank you. But since you started this evening talking about when there might be open interaction on our planet, I was wondering if you started to touch on it, what would the groundwork look like in our future? Will there be more an increase of one-to-one contact? Will there be more books? Will there be more channeling?
No, we are talking about the idea of an increase of actual physical contact starting in isolated areas and eventually going more and more public on larger and larger scales eventually. But the groundwork for that, one of the things we have talked about that lays the groundwork for that, is the creation of cohesiveness between all the nations on your planet, or at the very least a majority of them, in creating a global contact protocol. Because if you were to have open contact tomorrow, you wouldn't have a globally coordinated protocol with which to respond to it. So getting everyone, or at least the majority of everyone on your planet, to agree exactly how you would respond to such an open contact is one of the foundational elements. And this is now the reason why there are so many more groups coming up that are discussing the subject of what you call, in your language, exopolitics, which is the politics of extraterrestrial civilizations as they relate to your planet. So that you can begin to lay the foundations in your laws, in your, shall we say, customs, about how you will go about interacting with us. Because we have to take our cue from you. We can't just come in and tell you how it's going to be done. It's your planet. We have to take our cue and respect what you have set up on your planet as the mode of communication, the mode of doing things. This is why we are having these talks now, is so that we can find more and more common ground. And as we find more common ground philosophically, then we will literally find common ground on your planet on which to have the interactions. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Does that help you?
Yes, it does.
Anything else?
It seems to be that there's, at least in my circle, a lot of people who had stopped channeling all of a sudden are feeling the push, shall we say, to open it up again.
Well, yes, these things will go in cycles, because sometimes, even though, again, we leave it up to all of you to determine the cycles and timings mostly, there are times when we understand, based on our collective agreement with your own higher consciousnesses, it is time for us to say something to you. There is something you need to hear in that way. And so they'll feel the urge to, shall we say, download that information. Understand that to us, speaking of the difference between what you might call our technology and your technology, understand that to us, the best receivers are you yourselves. Not the idea of radios or other technological devices. You are already designed to be the perfect senders and the perfect receivers, biologically. And that is why most of the information at this time, regardless of what your scientists would like to have happen, is actually coming through people rather than through radio telescopes and such. Because we have already established a methodology of forming a harmonious vibrational connection through the biological life forms on your planet, and it's just the way we choose to operate for a variety of reasons. First and foremost being that when it comes through a person, no one on your planet has to believe it's true. Thus, we are sharing information without forcing anyone to believe it, which is how we operate. We have a complete hands-off, non-interference perspective. It's up to you to decide to meet us halfway by adopting these concepts that we live by, but we in no way, shape, or form require you to do so, because if we did, then we wouldn't really ultimately be interacting with unique beings. We would only be interacting with beings we had made into the images of ourselves. And what would be the purpose in that? Does that make sense to you?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, Bashar.
And you good day.
I'm a little nervous.
Oh,
and I'm feeling
just a little?
A lot.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm feeling my heartbeat like 1,000 times a minute, so I'm just accepting it.
Oh, all right. Thank you.
Well,
how exciting.
It is exciting.
Yes.
It's just a different exciting.
Yes.
I have a question that's an old world question.
An old world question. All right. Well, let's go back to that parallel reality for a moment so that we have a context in which to discuss it.
It's a Jesus question.
A Jesus question. All right. A Yeshua question.
A Yeshua question.
Yes. What about Yeshua?
Since Easter passed us.
Yes, but it's coming around again eventually. Your planet has a habit of doing that, orbiting around its central star. Oops, there we are again. Yes. What is your Yeshua question?
I'd like to know if he was truly crucified.
Yes. Truly crucified.
And did he resurrect 3 days after?
In a sense. Now, this is where it gets a little tricky because this is a prime example of the concept of splitting into parallel realities. In one, absolutely. In another, no. And in yet again another, something else again. Understand that being had the capacity and the knowledge to understand exactly what was being done and what kind of impact would branch out from that and how it would create a multitude of parallel reality offshoots and give them energy and momentum so that all could decide what it is they wanted to believe, what it is they wanted to relate to, what it is they wanted to understand about that being's message, which was primarily, you are all like me. That's the second coming. The realization that you are all like that. The discovery of what you call the Christ consciousness or the Buddha nature or the Krishna spirit in each and every one of you. But it was done in a way, like what we have just explained a moment ago, to give each and every one of you the choice to decide what you would and wouldn't believe was true for you. Does this make sense to you?
And it helps me deeply. I don't know why it does, but it does.
Well, all right.
Thank you.
Now, understand also that the symbolism also is, and this is the, shall we say, interpretation, the spin in a different direction on the idea that is bandied about in your religions that Jesus died for your sins. What was actually happening was the willingness to take on to the self of that being the idea of the ultimate consequence in one direction of expressing what you believe to be true in the face of those that have and can